Quick patch notes, please.
With the Yokai of Despair update. I am joined by two of the incredible aces of Smite design work, Aggro and Lermy. How are y'all doing?
What up?
Glad to be here, man. Excited to talk about our whaley boy.
Our whaley boy, yeah. Well,
He
we
is a
have
big
that.
boy.
We have some Bishojo. We have balance. We have more skins. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. And I'm super hyped to get in it.
Let's
so
speed
as
it up, buddy.
always, you got to listen to me talk for a little bit right off the top. It's just how it goes with some community news. So to kick it off, I said it already. I'm going to say it again. This is the last update before, like, heading into Worlds. Last update of year 10. Next time you see me, we're going to be talking year 11, and that's crazy to think about. But we'll get there when we get there. To preface, this update is going to be 6 weeks long. It's a nice long update. That means 2 bonus content releases, one on week 3, one on week 5. We'll get into talking about that a little bit. But, you know, those content releases aren't going to have balance with them because we want the pros, we want everybody getting ready for Worlds to have a lot of time to practice and get used to the mechanics for Worlds. So there will be 2 additional content releases, but no balance with those because we want people to have their time with the game as it is until Worlds, which is right around the corner. So to keep going on, let's talk a little merch. I mentioned this last time. I'm going to say it again. The SWC merch store is live and full of super cool stuff that you can get to support your favorite teams at SWC. So make sure to go check that out now so that you have your merch and jerseys and whatever else you need.
Dude, I'm about to buy all the jerseys, boys.
You can show up. You don't have to wait in the lines. You can get straight to repping your team and showing off how cool your jersey is, maybe getting it signed even. The last thing I want to mention is a little bit of esports to look ahead to tomorrow. We have the EU SEC playoffs are starting tomorrow, running through this weekend. So keep your eyes here on Twitch and on Twitter and all over the place for all of that goodness. Get in, see some awesome games as we continue to progress and close the gap between us and the Smite World Championship in January. Well, cool. That was a lot of me talking. Let's get into showing off some cool content, starting with some skins you can expect to see as we get into this update next week on Tuesday. We are going to have a new drop for the Color Forge Worlds Collide event, and it's going to be Wacky Slappy Heimdall. I love
As everyone should have expected, right?
In lots of colors.
a very
What the
obvious,
fuck?
segue. Like, Heimdall really leans himself to being made of balloons.
What?
Yeah, I don't think I could have seen this skin concept coming from a
What
mile
the
away. Maybe
fuck?
even 10 miles
Oh,
away.
I'm not getting a
No.
buff?
I mean, now you will. Next week in game, you'll see it coming from
This card
all the way
art's
on the other side of
crazy,
the
so
lane.
what does it
Hard
look
to
like in
presence
game?
like that. But
Are they even gonna show
as
us?
mentioned, this is part of the Color Forge event, so you're going to be able to recolor this wacky balloon man a bazillion different ways. You want to rack that Jazzberry Jam for Heimdall, you're going to be able to do that. So make sure you're checking out the Color Forge Worlds Collide event, grabbing this, making sure to do those missions to earn all of the different colors. And
Maybe the little
see it
kid on the
again.
right.
Oh.
Yeah, we have to.
Yeah.
you have to.
Oh,
That's Heimdall.
shit.
Yep.
What the
There it is, Heimdall
fuck?
made of
Bro, they should have
balloons.
changed his horn
Very
to something
serious
else.
character. Those remind me of like the
Rainbow Prism.
the old like little fruit snack treats.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
the legally distinct
Really distinct.
Snacks.
fruit snack.
Fruits. Yes. Not the long one, the small rocky.
Right.
All of the
I love
colors.
it.
Why?
color.
Why?
And the
Why is the
particles too,
Heimdall
and that's
skin?
going to change every single color as well.
True. And hit it with the ult one more time. I'm pretty sure I saw a smiley face down there at the bottom from the point of send-off.
What's up, redheaded? Thank you for the resub.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, there it is. Yeah, happy little smiley.
That's pretty good.
So again, yeah, tons of different colors. Any Color Forge die pack that you have will work, whether it was from the first event, this event, doesn't matter. They all work with every skin, and this is no exception. So make sure you're looking forward to this and picking it up and rocking all those cool SPL colors too.
I hope the colors are
So
good
next
because the
up,
skin's
we have
dope.
a DLC releasing with this update, and that DLC contains the Cybernetic Overlord Hades skin.
Yo. Oh, this card art. That's so sick. He's
Yeah.
like tearing through a building, tearing through a screen. I don't even know where he's at right now, but he is wrecking some havoc.
Yeah.
Ghost hands.
Yeah, ghost hand, like cyber ghost hands.
Cyber
of
ghost
course.
hands.
And because his staff wasn't scary enough previously, now it's like a sword staff.
Yeah, cyber sword staff. And he has hacker hands, so that's cool. So this will be a DLC dropping with the update next week, and it will come with this skin
DLC.
as well as 400 gems.
When did they say
So,
that?
Ooh.
if you're looking to rock some spooky Hades, this might be a good time for it. So next up, we're diving ahead. There's plenty of stuff for next week's update, but we're gonna kind of jump ahead on the calendar a little bit and talk about week 3 next up. So week 3 is actually getting an event. There will be an
Ooh.
event coming in week 3, and I have been looking forward to this one ever since the idea first popped up. It's something we've wanted to do for a long time, and it's going to be really fun. We have the Smite Cookout event. So we're looking at super fun food skins. You're looking at an event where you can get in and get some of these awesome food skins that we always love making.
They talk this shit up, and then I expect it to be cool
because they're super cursed. And
every time, and I don't know why. I don't even know what they could do that would be cool.
But so this is coming week 3. So not next Tuesday. You're gonna have to wait a few weeks after Tuesday. But this will be the week 3 release for the 10.13 update.
The cookout event in December.
You know we got to look at some of the skins.
Yeah, look, the food skins are a phenomenon
Always.
none of us could have predicted, right? That 10 years ago, it was like, yeah, you're going to have these types of skins in the game.
Yeah.
It would have been like, who would get those?
What are you
I was at a Baba as
The answer
Maui
is,
in her
like,
all, and she got
everyone
stuck in my all for the full duration.
They're just so silly.
They
They
are.
are,
They're so
Yeah, what's that having a world?
goofy.
You know?
Yes.
It's a good time.
Yeah, they also make you...
Bro, how does that even
They do
happen?
Well, sometimes hungry, sometimes afraid for your life. So let's dive in with one that I'm super looking forward to. Amuzin Cobb. Amuzin Cobb. See what they did there? Amuzin
Yeah,
Cobb.
I get it now.
Learn me
Look
love.
at its fucking face.
Like corn on the cob, if you... that's the joke.
Those
Oh,
viewers
Yeah,
at
what I
home.
want, they even
Yeah,
member
it's
for
corn on
12
the
months.
cob.
Damn.
Corn on the
Amuzin
Cobb. Amuzin
cob.
Cobb.
Right.
oh,
So,
and does he have like the little corn
yeah, the
like
little
thing
corn
on the
holder.
side?
Though, if you don't have those and you try and eat corn on the cob, it is...
Wait, his
it
shoes aren't
immediately
attached to
works.
anything.
Yeah,
Like,
it's a
that was
nerf to
big.
corn eating.
Yeah,
honestly.
100%.
Oh, especially if you butter it and you get butter all
Yep.
over your
Yeah,
hands.
it's
I mean, at
slipping and
least
sliding.
AMC here is doing you the service of keeping it in his wings,
Yep.
you know, so you can just
Keeping it.
take a scoop off and get a nice buttery piece of corn. But I'm sure he's buttering up his enemies because he's going to be getting lots of the kills.
I
At
just
least I
wondered
hope so.
what the corn bees look like. Either way, this conversation is
Corn
incredibly
bees.
cursed. So we're gonna move on to the next one, the world sub.
Not showing it in game because it's not
Okay,
coming.
this one goes.
This one is like
this is dope.
like a bringer of celebration. Of
I'm not gonna lie to
festivity.
you.
But
Well,
this would be an
A really
unedited-
strong
it's
feeling.
inedible. It's so messy.
Well,
That
no,
these
no,
are
he's
not
eating
gonna look
you.
good in game.
You're not eating.
Oh,
Okay.
I
well,
just-
I'm inedible.
I
sure,
really think-
right?
oh,
Look at
wait,
that. Wait,
eh.
okay, well, he's pretty big.
He's
like,
pretty
he probably
big.
could make it work.
Delicious. Look at those, hot and fresh too. You got the steam coming
Oh,
on.
and the
It
marinara.
actually looks good, but
How
like,
could those
why
all
is that the
be
mouth?
impressive? I'll
I
say
know.
that.
Whoever made this,
Meatball subs are notoriously messy.
the sandwich artists that created this did their job. They knew what they were doing.
Why?
So
Why?
Let's take a gander at this one again.
Why,
Okay.
bro?
All right, hold on.
The olives are a bold choice. That's a lot of olives per sandwich.
I mean, it's a big sandwich.
Let's be clear, any amount of olives on a sandwich is too many olives for a sandwich.
I come and go on that, but for the most part, yeah, olives are like a charcuterie board. I'm like
he-
a sandwich olive.
Is that supposed to be like?
Yep. I'm
Wait,
with you on
what?
that.
Unrelated though?
Okay.
It is condom.
I mean, what else would
Hey, what else did you say?
Yummy, yummy.
Look at them. They're all running away from the delicious sandwich.
Sploosh.
I really love too that like the ring
Yeah,
around
skin
where he's
itself
using
looks
is, like, a
cool.
paper wrapper
Yep.
from the sandwich.
I'm glad you can't see the mouth from this side.
And nowhere near enough paper.
Oh no, no, your hands are getting
That mess.
covered in sandwich.
Yes.
Yeah, that is one big sandwich. You think that could feed a whole village?
That's true.
Yeah, easily.
It takes a village, they say, to eat a
Ultimately.
sandwich.
I mean, one meatball is like the size of Odin.
True, that olive is the size of a person. So go back to that.
Yeah. That
So-
we'd be eating for months off of like a quarter of this thing.
True. And the last bit I'll leave you with is that I learned recently that deli is short for delicatessen. Didn't know that.
Oh.
So unrelated to anything, I just, we're looking at a big old sandwich. I felt it was appropriate. So next up, we have one more skin to look at in the Smite Cookout event, and it's Fiery Frank Odin. Remember that cursed Odin I mentioned?
What happened to the chef? Is he okay?
Dude, they let him cook, and he couldn't take the heat. He had to get out of the kitchen.
He got cooked. No,
Yeah.
I mean,
The fuck did they do to
you
Odin?
cannot burn a hot dog. It
Yeah,
is
it's a burnt
criminal
recolor.
It is a criminal offense. And the
it
bun,
will-
too.
Yeah, and it will haunt you literally instantly.
Literally
in this example.
Yeah. This isn't actually even mythological. This just happens if you overcook a hot dog.
Right. Don't
Yeah.
do it.
Don't
Yeah,
do it. So if you thought that the original hot dog bouncing at you was cursed, imagine seeing this. So that'll make for some epic showdowns and some weird food-based nightmares. But again, this is the Smite Cookout event. This will be coming in week 3 of the update. So, you got to wait a little bit. I understand. Not fun. I hate waiting too. I'm the same way. But it'll be there. It'll show up. You're going to have all those cool food skins. I'm excited for it. Every time I get to play one of these in game or get run down by one of these in game, it makes it just a little bit better. So.
Yep.
So next up, we're going to jump to week 5 now, all right? So we're moving a little further into the future. Week 5. And we have the Foxy chest. and this has a mischievous merchant Artemis.
Hello, Prince.
So,
Thank you for the 11.
Just a cool Artemis skin.
Look at the little tusk. It's like
Yeah.
tusky, but
Like
bubble.
a ghost cat.
It's
Yeah,
very cute.
she's
Yeah.
pulling around some kind of carp, but she's a fox merchant.
Yep.
True.
I guess is the take here, and I love this hairstyle. How the like ponytails have little like fox
Yep.
tufts on the end of
yeah,
them.
that's really
fun.
cool.
That's really cute.
It's that little attention. It's the attention to detail on everything like that that makes all of these so fun.
And the people love her wares. Like,
That's true.
they
I
are
mean,
ecstatic.
She's taking Fafnir's helmet. What happened to our boy?
What happened to her?
Why does he not have his helmet? Is she stealing that?
No. He lost a bet.
Is that King
He's on
Arthur's
dragon
crown?
mode.
Yeah.
Whose stuff is this? Where does she get this?
Listen, she's mischievous, all right? Like, you don't ask questions. You pay your discounted rates, and you get some really cool merch, you know?
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
dude.
Good to me.
So, all right.
Furry
so
community
next up,
about to go
we're jumping out of
wild
the
over
calendar view
this.
here a little bit, all right? We're moving a little more into the future. We're moving to SWC. We did it last year. We're doing it again this year. We're having drops for SWC, all right? Like, we're doing it. We love getting people hyped for coming in and watching the streams. We love being able to hand out cool SWC stuff. And drops are going to be a part of that. But we're not going to get into all of them today. We'll release content on that later. You know, keep your eye out for tweets and blogs. We'll have all the info coming out a little closer to Worlds. But we wanted to jump ahead and show you what the SWC skin for this year is going to look like, which will be a free Prime Gaming drop. And it's going to be SWC star Awelix.
So cool.
Agreed.
So cool.
This
And I can
art-
tell you right now, so that
crazy.
Lermy doesn't have to toot her own horn here. Lermy wrote the voice pack for this skin, and it is awesome.
It is
It's-
awesome?
It's really good. It's very funny.
Why is this so
very,
cool?
You know, on the nose for the people that are going to be at the Smite World Championship.
Yeah.
I think people will really enjoy it.
Yeah, the best part about this is that this is the OG Awelix voice actor too in this voice pack. So we got her back again. Amazing work by her to reenact the role. What, almost 10 years old at this point?
That's
crazy.
Yeah, and to come back and give it this, year 10 SWC flair. And I always look forward to that too, because, setting up the show, I see a lot of the art and
There's
whatever.
no way Awelix
but I
is 10
never
years
seen
old,
voice pack
right?
before, so I get to get in game, and I'm always listening for him.
Yeah, I'll just say we're so back.
We are
We are so back.
So to give a little preface with this isn't available until the final day of Worlds.
9
so
years.
It's going to be the 14th,
9 years old.
Sunday the 14th of January. So we have a little time. We're
Came out in
kind of
December
dangling it out
of
there, and pulling
2014.
it back a little bit. But I wanted to show this off to all of y'all and also highlight that if you'll notice, the jersey she's wearing is the jersey you can buy 1-for-1
Yo.
in the SWC merch store.
Wait, that's sick.
Yeah.
So cool.
So you can rep that exact same jersey. Like we very
cool.
purposefully designed them to be the same jersey, so you can be rocking out the same skin as the SWC. And there it is. Yeah. So as SWC star Awelix. So super
So
cool.
you all
And
bought
again,
this, right?
there will
Everyone's
be
got
more
the
drops to
jerseys?
talk about, but we're gonna get to those as we move a little closer to Worlds. We'll have blogs and social posts. So just keep your eyes out. But for now, we just wanted to showcase the skin because it's a super cool. So now we're moving into some meaty stuff. We're getting the pros right here. These two pros, and to talk about balance. And we're kicking it off with something a little crazy sounding. It sounds like we got a kind of a duel change.
Yeah,
Yes,
big one.
It is a very big one. So essentially, we had a meeting recently with some of the Duel content creators
Gotcha.
through a couple of our programs outside of the typical Twitter interactions. We had a couple discussions on how to spice up Duel, and so we came to the conclusion that we wanted to try a new system. And so this system is going to be a kind of auto-ban pool of characters that will be taken out of the mode temporarily, at the very least. So what we've done for this first round of it is that one of the biggest things about Duel is that Duel is usually dominated
just
by
removing the OP
same
gods
couple
from
of
Duel.
characters, kind of regardless of meta, just because they're either really good at 1v1s due to their kit, or because they are really good at killing towers. whatever
Remove
it may be.
defense from Duel.
So we have taken the top 25% of gods based on pick rate and ban rate, and also, win rate's also factored in there as well. Top 25% just auto banned. Players will still be able to have their individual 6 bans as well. Yep. So we are just really excited to see what kind of weird and crazy, metas people go to, builds they try, and what the next up are
builds
going to
are
be.
the same.
Because this is going to be a very different Duel
2
experience.
defense
and I'm
items,
sure a lot
4
of people are
damage
used to.
items.
Exactly. I mean, we expect to see a whole new list of characters kind of rise to the top because the cream
funny.
of the crop has been eliminated from the Duel pool. And this is something that we're intending on rotating in
Yes.
patches. So, we might try some different things here. We're really eager to hear from the community on what types of gods
I don't
they
play
want
Duel, so
to be
hopefully the Duel
featured
players are
in the
happy about
patch.
this.
We can do things like you can only play mages in this patch, or you can only play warriors, things like that, or getting involved with some of those content creators, figuring out those pristine duel pools that they'd like to be able to pull from and ban the rest.
Bro,
So we're
everyone's
kinda
playing
doing
the
these
whale in
almost
Duel.
like formats through a patch. So we're really excited about this feature. We're excited to hear all of your feedback, and you can expect to see Duel changing with every patch through year 11, just changing up this pool and trying to keep that mode nice and fresh.
Not just the pool, we're looking to do other changes in the future, especially revolving around the changes that we made previously in year 10. So we're going to be keeping an eye on all those features, and there will be more changes in the future. We don't exactly have a date for that for you right now, but we are working on more.
Let's just say, as always, the team is cooking. Like we still have, a little bit more of year 10 to finish out, but year 11 has been, it's on the horizon, but we've been staring it dead in the eyes for a long time. The team has been back there chefing, but we'll get into that later. So let's keep going through some year 10. We have one more map-related change, and that's just a light conquest change.
Yeah, so this is the start of the conquest changes and all that kind of stuff. But pretty simple one to start out with. Mid Harpies, we're just seeing mid laners get a little bit too much farm, particularly at the high level. And
reverted
get the most
the heal lifesteal totem.
Reducing their base XP.
They're nerfing mid harpies again. That's like the third time in a row.
The buff that we did to mid harpies earlier this year, so should be not too big of a nerf, but just a small one.
And for those unacquainted to just like how the XP
a lot of
works as
reverting
the
going on
majority
here,
of the
boys.
XP that you see like in camps is from that base. So this is kind of a pretty solid nerf to them, especially during that early game.
Yep, exactly. And then the Crimson Totem is getting its magical lifesteal reduced from 10% to 7%. This is the start of the end, hopefully, for mage solos. As we've got a big section.
Well, there's no world right into that. Then. So I mean, obviously that buffs mages, right? Because Typhons,
mage solos, like you talked about, and we have a handful.
I feel like that's not anywhere near the problem
to go through that, but preface this for me.
It is smart to remove some of the extra power.
Normally, with this right before this SWC patch, we would be a lot more, measured with the amount of change we'd want to make, because with the holidays coming up and teams preparing for the Smite World Championship, to change the meta drastically doesn't set the pros up for a lot of success at the Smite World Championship. Of course, that's what.
What if that's all they nerf and made solo?
With the community feedback that we've heard from pros and the general community alike, it's clear that the current meta is not working that well for the majority of our players. So we are going a little bit more aggressive with a lot of our changes in this update, particularly around nerfing mage solos and some pretty potent warrior buffs. There are some classes like hunters that might not see specific itemization buffs in this patch, but because we are already changing the meta so much more drastically,
like hunters were fine, but might hate if these warriors are OP.
The game as stable as we could, so that those teams could.
Majority of players are crybaby losers. True.
Yeah, as stable as we could in the right spots, of course.
In the right spot.
I cry all the time.
Some specific roles that are getting quite hit.
I would say so as well, and without trying to create an instant warrior jungle meta, which we've seen in the past, all those sorts of things. So
please, no warrior jungle. If warrior jungle meta comes up, I'm definitely just playing these other games. Fuck Smite.
Do it.
This is going to be a long list of mage solo nerfs. And I think that we should probably just rattle off some of these in a row.
Please go for it.
Typhon's Fang loses 5 magical power and reduce the magical power to magical lifesteal conversion rate from 2x to 1.5x.
Wait, that nerfs Typhon's mid.
Really big power sink for a lot lot of this build.
That's a big deal for Typhon's mid.
Got so much lifesteal.
You're about to see indirect mid-mage nerfs.
Vampiric Shroud is losing 5 more power, losing 2% more lifesteal, and decreasing the health restore from 3 to 2, and the mana restore from 8 to 6. So really
there is no warrior jungle that's meta right now. There's no warriors you would play in the jungle currently.
Solos. And then Bloodsoaked Shroud, the upgrade that everyone is going, reduce the magical power from 80 to 70, reduce the health and mana restore on
that
the
needed to
passive
happen.
from 1.2% health and 1.5% mana to now 1%.
That had to happen.
So again, health up from 3 to 2 on Vampiric Shroud doesn't seem like a big deal, but that's per target you're hitting, and that's per ability. So if you use 2 abilities to clear the wave and you hit the whole wave plus a god, that's what, 14?
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a big number.
Per wave, and it adds up pretty quickly. And the same kind of goes for Bloodsoaked Shroud there, where it doesn't seem like going from 1.2% to 1% should be a big deal, but we think that you'll feel a pretty noticeable amount of health.
It'll add up.
Yep, absolutely. And then a couple more items here for Mage Solos. Enchanted Trinket losing 2% lifesteal, going from 8% to 6%, and 5 power from 35 to 30. Pythagorean's Piece losing that 2% lifesteal, going from 8 to 6%, losing 5 magical power on its base, and decreasing the magical power and the lifesteal on the passive by
there you go.
5 and 2% respectively. So
that lost 10 power and 4% lifesteal.
And then last but not least, Breastplate of Valor and its glyphs are losing 5 physical protection and 5 MP5.
Let's go.
That is, if my last count was correct, 17 individual points targeting Mage Solo.
Yep, it is quite a lot. And that's not it.
Localized, and that's not it, because specific gods are going to get nerfed, and warriors are, in their itemization, are getting some buffs. But we wanted to try and keep mid lane mages as little touched as possible by these changes. So
there
it's
will
a
be
lot of lifesteal
a
focus.
couple small effects to some
Typhons
characters, of course,
might,
like your
is enough to not get picked.
We are keeping a close eye on that, and we are working again in the future to
I don't know.
Give them some love. Maybe you're loving, we'll see. You'll see.
As an Anubis lover, I'm happy to hear that because I love Anubis. So I guess let's move into those god nerfs then, like you talked about.
Yeah.
So right off the top with Opwa.
I mean, that is a premiere. Solo that we've been seeing quite a lot. And so what we're doing for Mr. Opwash is for Hallowed Ground, we're decreasing the heal on his passive.
I feel like
Opwash from 5% of his
not as strong or as annoying as MLF or Poseidon.
Going to be decreasing the cooldown reduction on Undead Surge and Corpse Explosion when picking up a corpse from 2 seconds to 1 second. So that again,
all right, Mindy can come back now, boys and girls. They nerfed Opwash.
Pick up the corpses. That whole cycle is just going to be a little bit less explosive, you might say.
Yes, and this is really targeted at his laning phase. Didn't nerf any of his scaling. He's able to pick up a lot less corpses in the team fighting stage anyways, typically. Just wanted to make sure he's not being as dominant in that solo lane.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Well, we're moving on. A little bit of a shift, but Athena getting toned down a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. She's been pretty nerf resistant.
Yes.
Turns out.
Tanked through it as she does.
So we are going a little bit more heavy-handed with her and with some more Chernobog right around the corner.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that in just a moment. So she's losing some HP 5 per level, as that was a little bit out of band for her among the Guardians. Confound, that's the taunt, did scale down and cooldown, will now remain at 18 seconds at all ranks. And then finally, Defender of Olympus. This has been the key linchpin in her pro viability, is just using that ultimate to get around the map, provide pressure wherever she needs to, increasing that cooldown from 110 to 120 seconds, and decreasing the damage mitigation that both she and the target that she's teleporting to receive from 30% down to 20%. So it should be a pretty substantial.
The cooldown's going to affect her, but that's not the biggest, you can deal with it. The mitigation change is a big deal.
Speaking of global powers, I was about to say, always something hard. Global presence is a horrifying thing in game if you know how to use it, and we're stepping into another, like you said, with Chernobog.
Yeah, so for Chernobog, a lot of this is focused around his ultimate Living Nightmare. So the cooldown of this ability was 110, going to 120, just like Athena. It'll be bumped up. The movement speed that Chernobog gets when he lands is going down from 20% to 15%.
The buffs from his ult are why his ult's good.
From 10 to 20% to now 5 to 15%. So just less effective when he actually lands, and it'll take you
Corn, they literally said
to be
it.
able to actually get up into the air again once you've used it.
Yeah, well, I mean, all that makes sense. Again, global presence is such a hard thing to deal with, especially in high levels of play. So I'm okay seeing that get touched. Now, in the usual flow of conversation, it goes aggro, learn me aggro. So aggro, you got to talk about Maman Brigitte.
Yeah,
here we go.
We all knew it was coming, right? It's Maman. I mean, her damage.
I've been saying she's been OP since they said she wasn't.
And the gameplay loop centered around proccing soul spikes is working very well. Just a little bit too well at times. And in particular, it's all really centered around Madame's Mark, where that is really supposed to be there as a tool to proc soul spikes, not be a primary damage source in and of itself. And it was simply doing about as much damage as soul spikes was.
Wait, they nerfed the fuck out of the two.
So we're decreasing the scaling on that Mark damage from 5%
what?
to 2.5%. And it did have 5 base damage on it. It now no longer has any base damage whatsoever on that Mark pulse. So
it was proccing a lot.
On the pulse. Okay.
Quickly, which is again the intent. But the intent is for it to proc quickly so that your passive procs quickly.
Yes.
We don't want the mark itself.
I don't think that's that big of a deal. I think that'll maybe make the one shots not as over one shotting.
That's a little bit more acceptable. So we think that this will be a pretty substantial nerf to her, particularly in the early game. Losing that 5 base damage because it was proccing 3, 4, 5 times should be fairly noticeable. But she definitely is carrying that high risk, high reward play style. If she doesn't successfully kill her target, she doesn't do a whole lot of anything. So we wanted to make sure that
stands to reflect.
Yeah, and they sure do. And to be clear, this will affect Madame's Mark whether you apply it with Madame Fangs or Explosion of Souls, whether you hit the 2 or the alt. that mark damage is getting nerfed either way.
Got it. Well, I mean, it makes sense. We're able to fine tune a little better now because it's been almost 2 months, I think, since the battleground. So people are starting to reach that skill ceiling or get closer, starting to learn how to play the character. So we're able to see what it is really definitively about the kit that might make it too strong or too underpowered. And this time, she's still just laying.
2 is really fucking good,
cool.
but
So next up,
we'll see how that really hits
So
her.
he was not in the original bout of mage solos, but he certainly did start to show up as the time has gone on. So Poseidon is going to be receiving a change to his passive, Changing Tides, being that he is getting a reduced amount of increased ability damage at max tide from 20% to 15%. So if he's just there gathering up tide from his basics, and then especially with his 2, he won't be able to do as much increased damage when he's at that absolute max point.
Yep.
On top of that, we're also changing Trident, which is his basic tech stim. That is getting an increased cooldown from 16 to 12 to 15 seconds in our range. So he's still going to get a slight bit of shift there, but mostly sitting on the back end of it. And it's even going to get nerfed alongside that because the base damage is going to be going down.
These nerfs are weird
by 10, so it was 30 to
because
70.
these nerfs, like say the item nerfs already kill them in the solo lane. This just fucks them as mid laners.
But we are trying to take the things that make him
Poseidon's not a good mid laner. So if mage solos are dead because of the item nerfs, then Poseidon's even more dead and worse in the jungle and everywhere else.
You would still put points in
I
fairly early, but
know why they're hitting more
in that slot. So
like I don't know why they didn't just hit the items first.
Per little wave, I believe. So it is 10 base.
Yeah, this is weird.
If you're hitting all
they should just make sure they killed mage solos first before hitting the gods.
Yeah, Poseidon's always been threatening. So
and where's the Morgan Le Fay nerf?
Raijin up next.
Yeah, Raijin is kind of the poster god for mage solo, right?
Yeah.
He's the initial offender.
He's the guy.
So we wanted to make sure we hit him, but it is slight. He's really not overperforming too much, but I think the perception outweighs the performance necessarily.
Yes,
it probably is an overcorrection, but I just don't know why they would do this.
He's getting every item that we talked about as well.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly.
They legit could have dropped the item nerfs in this patch, and then in the minor update, if they still wasn't enough, they could have put these nerfs through.
His numbers are probably just statistically weaker than they were before he got his spicy bonus or a spicy buff. And he was considered one of the worst mages in the game.
Yeah, I mean, we did do a couple other shifts.
I would like to see how the items affect it first before hitting all these gods.
Interactive to play as, which is really great, but we also need to make sure that now that you have those couple extra options,
MLF needs to be nerfed, like as a mid laner too, not just as a solo laner.
Because it is
these other gods, like Raijin's annoying, but I think nerfing him again's a little much. Poseidon being nerfed is crazy.
The entire game, Ratatosker.
I mean, he can be in the right hands for sure. But essentially, Ratatosker is kind of this like jack of all trades. He can go in solo, but he's really just good as an all-rounder jungle. He can kind of get whatever
this is for the SPL. 100%. That's the whole point.
Keep people distracted.
They don't want to go into worlds with the mage meta. It just sucks that they didn't time it so they could fucking check to make sure they're not over nerfing.
Acorn Blast, which is his 3, and this is going to take the damage down.
What the fuck is this?
Base, just basically mostly focused in the late game, going down 20 in the late game, but not at all rank 1. So if you're not
Rat's not good in the jungle. So does that mean they're worried about Rat being good in the solo lane?
But that scaling is what's going to be important here as well, because it's also going down by 5% from 60 to 55.
Yep, he just was the best jungler in the SPL.
Okay, that makes sense. It's just to target SPL players.
Completely rewrite the SPL meta.
That's fine.
Other roles
it's because of SPL, because Rat ain't shit in ranks.
We want to just eliminate Ratatosker, but he was overperforming just slightly, so just a small nerf.
Yeah, just a little tunage.
We expect he'll still be good.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. So now we've made it through the nerfs. We made it through both item and god nerfs. Now we're getting into buff territory. What you think needed to be made stronger to continue to...
This is going to be interesting because this is an SPL patch, as it should be. I wonder what the SPL players wanted buff.
Tail end, or are we diving right into item?
No, I think we can just head right into it. And the first one is pretty simple. We can kind of group these first 3. The warrior shields are all receiving buffs, and it's all the same one. They're all just going down 50 gold and gaining 50 health. We definitely heard a lot of the discussion.
That's respectable.
Read every thread about warriors and their itemization problems, but this close to the Smite World Championship, we felt like we really couldn't safely do anything.
MLF didn't get touched, bro.
Though, of course, that feedback is being heard and prepped for year 11.
Yep.
We didn't want to instantly give them a lot of damage. through this early itemization, but just make it a little bit cheaper and a little bit more cost effective with that extra HP. And then some of these other buffs that are there are meant to help them sustain through the lane a little bit better.
Yeah, exactly.
You must be very persuasive being able to walk into the shop and say, give me 50 gold back and make my items give me some health. So
Yep.
impressive to do that thrice over. So then Pestilence comes up next.
Yeah, so you talked a little about sustain. Well, this is kind of anti-sustain.
Yep.
So a lot of the
Pesty
builds in
needed a
solo
buff.
were focused a lot around that lifesteal that we
Pesty's
talked about.
dog shit compared to
what better
Contagion
to counter
was.
lifesteal than anti-heal? And Pestilence is going to be receiving a buff to kind of help with that as well. It's going down 100 gold from 2,400 to 2,300.
Oh yeah, the Berserker shield was a whale
so
buff.
if you do end up against someone that's doing lifesteal, doing healing, whatever it might be in the solo lane, that's magical. This is not a bad first item to get anymore.
Not at
No,
all.
no. Someone like, Sun Wukong, King Arthur, having the ability to build something like Bluestone and then build into Pestilence to get that early defense and stack some HP 5 to get some of that sustain and reduce theirs and get magical protection and health.
This isn't so much
we think should
anti-mage.
be pretty helpful.
This is making it so
Soul,
Pesty can be built as an anti-heal.
Arcturus Fury is up next.
Yeah, simple buff.
Pesty
for
was
Archdruids.
bad.
This is one of those items that was contributing.
that
because
getting
the very
buffed
beginning of year 10
Is
warriors
surprising.
were
I
quite
feel like
strong.
Archdruids is so good right now.
Seems like that isn't
Came
the
out
case.
swinging.
I
with
feel
how
like
they
it
are right
makes
now,
some
but
gods playable.
They were very strong at that time, and Archdruid's Fury was one of the big reasons.
I'm
why.
really surprised they're
Got
buffing it.
A little bit of a nerf, ended up falling out of the meta, so we're just giving it.
It is just 5 prots. That's just a surprising item that they targeted.
Those tanky characters that want to build these prots and utilize that Archdruid's passive should be happy to see these prots going up.
Happy to see him come back. All right, we're down to 2 more for the item buffs, starting with Dawnbringer. Looks like just more health, more HP 5.
So we know hybrid is a very, strongly felt discussion
A lot
throughout the
of
community right
sustain.
now. And we want to make sure that people still have an option to go a little bit of power if they want it.
Yeah.
And so the hammers are kind of the closest thing that they have to that at this point in time. So we want to make sure that all of those hammers are still feeling like a pretty solid option. But the one that we're seeing that's, kind of on the
I feel like Dawnbringer is potentially a top tier item,
so
like
we
a
are
top 5
adding
item in the
a force
game.
stat onto it being the HP 5, so that will kind of make you feel a little bit better about getting it early, because we know the ultimate trigger is not the most useful in lane for a couple of characters. So the characters that are using it quite a lot, well, now they have it a little bit better if they want to go into that ultimate trigger.
Yep.
Awesome. Sounds good. Last but not least, Warrior's Axe getting a little stronger.
Yeah, just increasing
Clear?
their physical power from 15
Yeah.
to 20, and this is to try and help a lot of those warriors who do have trouble clearing the
Yep.
wave.
Yeah.
20 power is on the high end of what physical starters give a lot of the time. So this
That's
is
really
actually
high end.
higher than something like Death Toll, which I think is at 18 right now. But we just felt like we wanted to make sure that that was a big discussion.
Wait,
point.
Warrior's Axe,
need more damage
fucking
early
ADCs?
in order to help compete. And some sustain in order to help them take the poke that these mage solos are giving them. Getting HP 5 on Pestilence and on Dawnbringer should help with that sustain a little bit.
Yeah.
As well as, the multitude of nerfs towards mage itemization.
Hunters with no
but just giving
sustain
them a little bit more power
and no
in
other
that
stats other than
and
power.
specifically something that jungle warriors won't be able to go.
Yes, that was the other big focus of these buffs that you just heard, was that we want to make sure that these items are specifically focused on how to help you in solo lane.
Yep.
Specifically the lane, because we've had warrior jungle metas before. They can be a little bit difficult, especially having a very tanky jungler. So we want to make sure, again, this is specifically for the lane.
Yep.
That's incredible. I can just imagine y'all in the design process, like one of those big whiteboards with all the strings and everything. Like, all right, so we're buffing solo, but not the jungle, but also it's such a razor's edge that you walk trying to, change the meta in such a soft but concise way.
Yep.
Always impressed with y'all. I love complimenting them
Appreciate
on
you.
the show.
Oh.
Hello, Cat. Thank you for the
let's move
40.
into the god buffs.
Yeah.
Achilles, our boy in armor, up first.
So we've got a lot of warriors on this
Please
list,
just don't
as you
buff
will
his
see.
fucking two.
So first up is Achilles, of course, starting with an A. Radiant Glory is going to be having a bit of a change to it, where it used to gain that extra heal from the targets at rank 5, but now it is 4 at all ranks, so you can heal from the 4 targets, which is very nice. Combat dodge as well is his kind of, it can be his clear tool for the very skilled Achilles players, but for many other
Okay.
players it can just be your escape, your movement, whatever you need it to do.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's
more
going
healing
down
and
in
a
cooldown
shorter
as
3
well
cooldown.
at the lower end, so again in the laning phase from 14 to 10 to 12 to 10.
Got it. Rock and roll. Next up, you know her, you love her, Bellona.
Bologna, yeah, Bologna.
Bologna hasn't been good for so
A lot of
long.
these other warriors, so her buff isn't quite as big, but felt
Closer
like
to
she was
viability. I
starting
feel
to
like
fall
she hasn't
behind a
been
little bit.
played one time this
and
whole year.
As you saw with Achilles, and as you'll see with some of these other gods, just trying to focus on their laning.
Or
phase
more
than anything
healing?
Scourge, just increasing that sustain from hitting that third basic attack, is that's such an iconic part of Bellona's kit.
Yeah.
And Eagle's Rally just used to be a very potent ultimate back in the day.
Oh, it was crazy.
And has just kind of fallen off in terms of power level among other warrior ultimates in particular. So just getting a good amount of base damage, just 10 more per rank, which ultimately ends up being 50 extra base damage at rank 5, which should be pretty noticeable. Of course, you get all the other benefits from Eagle's Rally still, but just was a little bit lacking in the damage department.
Yeah, just a little bit of tune-up. Well, next up, the Master Puppeteer with a giant sword, Tyr.
Yes, so Tyr is a very fun god to watch in solo.
Tyr is.
I'm sure we all remember that one clip of pushing 1 million people. Yeah, it was a good time. So Fearless, like we were just talking about there, is getting increased physical power scaling on the assault stance from 50% to 55%.
That
so
cooldown change will be fucking crazy.
As well as getting a cooldown decrease when you rank it up now. So it used to be 15 at all ranks. Now it's 15 to 13.
There is going to be no downtime on Tyr.
I always love to see
between
this. One of my
stances.
favorite gods, Mulan, getting a little love.
Someone said Mulan might get a buff.
Has this identity as a lane bully, and she does start to bully the lane, but you really do need to get to the upper echelons of your cross strike and spear thrust on rank 2. You have to start getting to those evolved forms before you can really start to bully the lane. Before that, she's actually pretty weak in the lane, and we're happy with her strength when
her power spike is earlier now.
It was just taking her a little bit too long,
which means it lasts longer.
Weaker laners out of the solo lane, so we're just decreasing the amount of experience.
Her power spike is nuts
on both the spear and
I think her late game is still ass
in order to get those to rank 2 and rank 3. And get those extra benefits.
Yep, and to clarify, that experience is the damage that you're doing. So again, if you're being very proactive as Mulan in lane, you're gonna really feel these changes.
Yeah, absolutely. You're gonna start rolling. So that's fun too. Like I love the mini game. I love being able to hop in and be like, all right, I gotta get the spear, gotta get the bow, gotta get the sword. We're training. We're leveling.
Yeah, how many times can I hit in a row? You know.
Exactly.
I back, but like I'm almost there. So super cool. Gilgamesh up next.
Yes.
I almost said Gilgafresh because I love Gilgafresh. Is just like
the mic they have on Dandy is so fucking
Gilgamesh
dog
is a very
shit.
Interesting case because he was one of the premier go-to
lane minion damage, so you can clear
back in the warrior jungle meta. So I wanted to be a little bit careful where we were going from this. So we did at some point give Gilgamesh increased damage to lane minions.
Wait, he just has static HP 5 now?
So we lowballed it a little bit there with 25%. We're bringing it up to 40%, which is a 15% increase, which may seem like a lot, but in reality, it's a relatively small number that it's doing. So it's bringing it up.
He's gonna clear
amount so that you'll feel it a little bit more.
Much better, and then just sustain all the time.
5 on Sunforged Scimitar because it's no longer only when it's active. It's when you rank up the ability, you will gain the HP 5 permanently, kind of like we did previously with like Serket and Giannis. Same idea on the 1 HP 5.
Yep, and then this is largely because Jungle Gilgamesh has historically wanted to max the 2, because that's his most potent gank tool. We really want to incentivize those solo lane Gilgamesh players to put points into the 1. One of the big things that's always
I'm glad they're going out of their way to not buff these in the jungle.
Have been his clear,
granted,
buffing, and
that might not be the case here because I guess it is lane minions.
Will be able to show his face at the higher levels.
Depends on if they buff something else.
And in particular in the solo lane.
Yes, that would be nice.
That would be cool. So next up, I'm just going to go with y'all. I don't
Puffy,
like
shut up.
this because I died a lot and don't know how to play it. Loki's getting some buffs because we can talk about that.
Yeah, I've been doing balance stuff for a long time. I don't know the last time we buffed Loki. It's actually been
what the fuck?
I'm trying to think.
Scary.
But
what the fuck is
this?
this?
Case that he is starting to struggle a little bit. But we know how frustrating he can be. You know, we know how when you play against those good Loki players, just how frustrating he can be and how.
Bro, Loki's getting played 24/7 right now in ranked.
A very small.
What the fuck? I don't care if it's only 5 damage. Why the fuck are we doing this?
Do simply 5 more damage.
Fuck Loki.
But it was pretty clear that he was starting to fall behind more than he previously.
What?
Yes.
Fair enough.
J-Rob, thank you for the gifted.
So Ravana next up on the list.
Yeah, so Robin had
his
a little bit earlier in the year.
I know.
As the mainstay
what the
of
fuck is happening? At least it's micro buffs. The dinkiest of dink buffs.
He has received a couple of nerfs, and especially the change to mitigations to have been capped out. It is no longer Raven's time to shine. So we're going to bring him back a little bit, but
he was busted for months. We're good.
Specifically in the damage sense.
He's a boring-ass god.
is going to be receiving a 5% increase in damage scaling, as well as Mystic Rush's ultimate getting a 10% increase. So if you were pretty good at hitting hitting those Mystic Rushes, that's going to hurt a lot more.
You're getting
I mean, that's what, like...
All right, no, back to my comfort zone. We're going to some Guardians. Sylvanas.
Like an extra 150 damage, I guess, between the two.
Huge pass to crowd control and adding roots.
No, I just overbuffed that. That's not right.
Kind of stuff. Sylvanas got hurt more than most, and that's because his combo.
It's way less than that. It's like an extra 60 damage, right?
Up into root, into pull.
Yeah.
That, especially for these long, if someone starts to run away, they've been CC.
Iris?
They have those diminishing returns on them. You hit that big Nature's Grasp. It feels so good.
Yeah.
But because
Iris?
because they're spending that stun time.
Okay, Iris having some problems here.
This is something that so now I should say this. Now
Oh, it's Twitch? Oh, it's Twitch. Okay.
It's 1 second, no matter how long you've been CC'd beforehand, anything like that, it's 1 second. We know that this is a popular suggestion for characters like Xing Chen and a lot of other gods who have their combos, have multiple CC layers in their combos.
Yeah.
And we still want to be very, very sparing with where we use this mechanic, because this is breaking a fundamental rule of diminishing returns in Smite. But because Sylvanas so often just ends up these characters are able to act because the stun duration is being taken up.
This is way too long of an explanation for this. If you hit the 3 on somebody, it DR stuns. So now it doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, if they can act before they can even get to you.
Right.
We can all process that you don't want them to be CC DR'd because you hit a pull.
Like land the grasp.
That's the hard part.
That is the hard part.
That is the hard part.
Geb up next. Love Geb.
Yeah, so Geb is, he's doing all right. He's been fine. He does his job particularly well, but he's just fallen a little bit behind the more meta Guardians. And so what we're going to be doing here is helping him clear a little bit better, so he doesn't have to worry so much about being so close to the wave with Shockwave anymore, because his damage at max range of the ability is even pretty good for poke as well.
Am I?
It's going
Okay.
from 70% to 80% of the initial damage, so 100% if it's close to you, 80% all the way at the edge. It's going to be a lot nicer to be hitting those
The
archers and
7th
not have to be
highest
sitting
win rate in the
middle of
game.
wave.
Yeah.
Right
And
behind the
then on
most
top of
OP
that,
god in the
Stone
game.
Shield, which is, of course, his cleanse, his bread and butter, going down by 1 second.
Why are
just
we
a little
buffing
bit,
him?
more often for him to be there to cleanse his teammates.
Why
on
are we?
CCs. Give him a little bit
This
extra health,
is
whatever they
ridiculous.
need.
Yeah, keep him in that team fight. Keep things
yeah.
going. Super cool. Always fun
There's
play
just
for
no,
him, so-
dude. Why are we buffing
Apollo?
his most OP ability?
In a dream.
Yeah, 2 guns in a dream for Apollo. And his dream got killed pretty early after his
did, a
spicy
little bit.
changes. We nerfed him, turned out to be a little bit preemptive on our part, so we're giving him an apology buff here with So Beautiful.
An apology?
Nope, an apology. And a normal one, not a pun. 5% scaling
Could've been.
there on So Beautiful, and then a partial revert on the mana
This
cost
is a bigger
nerfs
patch
that
than I
we
thought
did
it
to
would be.
Across the sky.
Kinda sick.
Those proved to just be a little bit too much for him to
I don't.
overcome
If that's the
and
only buff he's
find his
getting, it
way
ain't
into
shit.
General player base's
They gotta buff something else.
So we're hoping that this, if you haven't played Apollo because he got nerfed like right as his spicy buffs came out, definitely give him a try. He's a lot.
Yeah, this is nothing.
Changes
Like
are so beautiful.
nothing.
Player going
Yeah.
across
Okay.
the sky. So
Now that's a joke.
Medusa's up next. What's going on?
Medusa needs some
All right,
clear
so
buffs.
Medusa's been out of the meta.
Her
for-
2 needs to
for
hit
like
harder.
A very long time.
Her
And so a lot
1's
of
getting
that
a
is
buff?
just due to because she's been having a tough time with mana in lane. She's
No.
not really feeling like she had that boxing potential that she.
I feel
used
like
to
mana's
have
not
back
an
her
issue in
heyday.
lane.
So what we're
It's
doing is we're increasing
100% the
base
ability to
damage
clear.
of Viper Shot by a little bit to give her a bit more of that boxing potential, and then on top of that, we're also taking the mana cost down on the ability.
I'm fine with the
from
mana,
50
like,
to 70 down
that's-
to
that's
50 flat.
great,
And then on
but
top
where's
of
the
that,
fucking
Acid
clear?
Spray, which is her main clear, is also going to be receiving a decreased mana cost from 60 to 80.
Okay,
down
so
to
she's
40
getting no
to
more
60.
clear,
We're
but
using
now
this
she
a
can
lot. We want
spam
to make sure that it's not costing
slightly
you
more
your
between the
whole
abilities.
mana
Yeah,
bar.
you're eating through the whole mana.
But you
bar.
can't clear.
Got it.
Exactly.
Well, we're kind of moving into a mage zone next for the last two, starting with Chronos.
Yeah, Chronos.
Chronos
Mage
sucks.
ADCs have been
He is
pretty
ass.
prevalent this year at SPL level play, but
Yeah.
Chronos has not, which
No.
is not a good sign for the Master of Time.
Poor
So
Chrome Dome.
we're giving him a small base attack speed buff, and while this might not seem like a lot, base attack speed is very important for gods that care about getting attack speed, because it makes any future attack speed they get more valuable. So this should be a pretty big deal, especially because he gets built-in a free attack speed whenever he uses Accelerate, which we are also giving a small buff, going from 15 to 14 seconds. So, Chronos, when he's in the zone,
Chronos jungle's
is
back,
doing
baby.
pretty well, but just ends up falling a little bit short, so getting some more general buffs in his direction.
Yeah, he's more of like that super late game carry. Most of the other magical ADCs at least have.
I feel like even super late game, Chronos doesn't feel good currently on
really
live.
scales with time. as you think it would.
Correct.
Gold here today. I'm proud of this. We're going out last show of the year in style. So last but not least, God buffs. We got Zeus.
His mic finally died.
No one person who loves. I'm kidding. So Zeus is a very interesting case, right? Because he is very, very good in non-conquest modes, but when it comes to conquest, he just doesn't keep up.
What the fuck?
He's gonna float around.
Oh, it's just max rank. Wait, yeah, what is this? What is this buff?
Is a very big ability, and we want to be very careful with this ability because again, it is very, very good at zoning.
60 damage
at,
a tick
area control as well.
at late game?
So we're keeping the buff kind of small, but towards the late game because that tends to be where either he is.
But that's all they're hitting?
A little too much, not enough. It depends on the characters for the most part, but really it's the squishies that are only getting hit by 1 or 2 ticks of this and then walking away from it.
Exactly.
So I want to make sure that if you're getting hit by those 1 or 2 ticks, that it is going to be doing a little bit more. And if you're with a team that's going to be able to keep them in the storm, or you're the fire giant and you're just
surprised
sitting there
like
the
a
whole time,
timeline breastplate Zeus
Yep.
never came into meta.
It's good stuff.
It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So
You get him a new mic?
we talked about the changes, the big crazy right before Worlds changes, and now we're ready to move on to another piece of content releasing next Tuesday. Super close. Always fun to say that. And that's the Bishojo event. You've seen it. You've seen the announcements on Twitter. Super excited to show it off, but we'll do it right after.
None of them play the game anymore. Why the fuck do we care?
Initiating combat protocol. Operation Overkill. Kill them all.
That's a dope Mulan skin.
When will you learn that
They could have just dropped it as a Mulan skin, and I thought it was dope.
Imagine not being in Grandmasters. Let's play some games, Chad. I've been waiting all day for this.
I've seen tougher circuits in a toaster.
That is right. Bishojo is back yet again, but with Zen this time. We got Zentreya in, so this is super awesome. As you saw, we got the new skin. We got a bunch of recolors for some of the favorites that we have from the last one. Just super awesome to see them back. I mean, they're so fun to work with, too. Like, every time for the socials, dude.
I know.
I run mouse. That it just killed me.
Yeah.
Like somebody was like, "No, that's how she wants it spelled. Like you're gonna do it that way." And I was like,
it's an inside joke.
"That's awesome." Yeah, it is, and it's so good. I'll admit, I was dying going through like it went live. People were like, "Who spelled it wrong?" It was killing. I was loving it. So absolutely love it. Absolutely glad to see this. And you've seen some of these before. The new colors, we're gonna leave y'all to explore those. But with Zen showing up, we wanted to get in and show that off a little bit. So let's hit the card art.
Yeah. Dude, this art is incredible.
So
good.
cool.
I love this style, too. This is a very unique style of card art that, only the Bishojo skins have. And I just love the, anime aesthetic. It's just so fun.
The anime aesthetic is, fire, as you can see there.
Yeah.
So super cool to be able to work with Bishojo again. Again, they're really fun to work with, They're as you can tell by
It
what
does
they
look
do,
like
they
Valorant.
work as
The art is Valorant-esque.
Bishojo. It's just they know how to have fun. They know how to bring people in and have a good time, and they reflect that in all the work we've done with them, where they're like, oh yeah, let's make it epic and awesome and exciting and great content. So, and
The weapon is pretty
it's
dope.
A Mulan skin. It's Zentreya Mulan. How could I be?
It's a
I
good
literally
skin.
Just finished saying I love Mulan.
Yep.
Actually, most of
Mulan is so
the
much fun, and I'm so
VTuber skins
excited
are
for the
good.
geckos to get their hands on this as well. I mean, it's got to be Taco Tuesday every day.
Oh, it's every single day. It's gonna be absolutely incredible. And I think this deserves a look in game. So let's dive in.
Yes, let's take a look.
What the fuck is this?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's
No!
The sword trail is.
Oh
The
god,
green
they ruined
energy.
it.
Ooh, even the targeter. Oh, and
Why
goes
does it
red.
sound like
Oh,
that?
that's so
So
cool.
cool.
That's really dope. I'm a sucker for any
Wait, now it
unique
has
effects like
no
this.
sound.
That's my favorite color.
Is it bugged? Wait, was that
Yeah,
bugged?
Zen's
Please tell me that was a
cyborg
bug.
for the
And,
future, so she's got to make sure that all of her tech is ready to go, and she's got.
That
the
had to have been
weapons
audio
prepared.
fucking
She's got
up.
a
Yeah,
bow,
I hope that
spear,
was audio
sword,
fucking up,
The
bro.
katana's ready to go, and showing off
It
all
must
these
have
here with
been
the
because that
ultimate as
sounded
well.
so bad.
Absolutely. And again, just super cool.
Yeah,
to
I think
see
the
all
sound was
this,
broken too.
It's-
Thank God.
I love getting to do work like this with awesome people who have made a name for themselves just by being fun and incredible and Bishojo.
I was like,
is
this
just
skin
that
is
way.
so good, and then you put some
As I'm sure
fucking
you
dog
hear
shit
here,
audio
Zen
on
was
it. That
able
would be
to do her own
fucked.
voice pack as well, which was
Yeah.
awesome to have her in. And she's also got a nice helmet toggle as well, which
It's
is
so
one of the features
fucking
of her
bad.
models. And she's got quite a lot of them. So we wanted to make sure that we were representing the cyborg form true as cool as
Face
we can.
mask
And
is
just look
cool.
at that.
That's so cool.
So awesome.
It's got a lot of expressions as well, which is going to be awesome. You know, you as a player might not see it, but I'm sure your teammates are going to love it.
Yeah. So like you said, just an incredible opportunity, an incredible skin, and an incredible event that I'm excited for y'all to get your hands on with PTS and with the update next Tuesday. So it's gonna be cool. All of the that skin has a recolor as well. So Zentreya has a recolor along with all of the other Bishojo skins that you saw in the video right at the beginning. So looking forward to it. It's gonna be fun. It's always fun.
No doubt.
So now we're getting into something crazy. Now we're diving into something a little wacky.
We're diving in.
We're diving in. We're going deep for this one. It's going to be a whale of a time. It's Bake Kujira, and we're going to show that off right after this video.
The land will be consumed by the waters. Never out of reach.
Do you have ghost legs? Were those ghost legs?
From whence you came. You will be enveloped in famine and fear. A chilling plague.
I'm very interested to see this god.
Surround us, screaming silently.
It's Bake Kujira. We're so excited, and I am joined by some people you've seen and some people you haven't seen in a little while. We got Clumsy on the stage.
Yeah.
How you
back.
doing? You've been busy. I know you've been chefing back there.
Yeah, no, we've been cooking, and
Been
I'm
cooking.
glad to see the whale finally joining the battleground.
Yeah. So if I remember correctly, it's been a bit of a collaborative effort between you two, Bake Kujira. So I'm gonna keep saying it. Dive into it and let me know what that process looked like.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I was finishing up Maman Brigitte.
Yeah.
Clumsy's been hard at work with year 11 stuff and all that, but
The cameras are
he
so
kinda
crazy, the
took
color
over
difference.
the
Like, this
start
camera is really
of
good. The
Bake,
other ones
and
suck.
then once Maman was out the door, I kind of came in and helped out there.
Yep, that's exactly right. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's always fun. I mean, we always work together in the design team anyway,
Yeah.
so this one, it always comes pretty naturally. And yeah, it's exciting to see how this one shaped out.
Awesome. Well, I guess, at a high level, because obviously we're going to jump in and look at this in game, but what was the process of bringing Bake Kujira kind of out of, I guess, the ocean of mythology and into Smite?
Well, I mean, when we were thinking about this at the end of this year, right?
Yeah.
At first, we had our whole god roster lineup, and then we're like, it's season 10. We got to spice things up, right? We have to celebrate. We have to go even further.
Yeah.
Go further than ever beyond, right? And so we were thinking, we always have this process between whether it's the videos at the beginning of the year and the teasers, or whether it's the data mining and everything like that. We wanted to always try and find little surprises whenever and wherever we can.
Yep.
And this was one that we really wanted to pull out of the idea bank. We always have a lot of creative discussions and brainstorms with all the developers to see what we can really do in Smite that excites all of us. That's something that we wouldn't expect, and our players therefore definitely wouldn't expect.
Yep.
And one that was on the forefront of that was absolutely Bake Kujira. And I think we're seeing that surprise and positivity
off.
reflected by the community. So that's
No doubt.
awesome.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, it's reflected in what the community has been saying. You pulled it off. We snuck something in there. We managed to surprise everybody, and that is just it gives everybody a warm feeling to see people be like, that's crazy. You're like, what? So super awesome, and we'll be ready to go in game in just a second here, but let's show off the card art first. Before we get
Yeah, have to.
Sick.
All of the art for Bake Kujira is so inspired.
It's so cool. Like, it's a skeleton whale. Like, how crazy can it really
Right.
get? Really crazy.
And we talked about in the Closer Look blog post, and the art for Bake Kujira was something that we really wanted to push to the forefront, and that's something we do with all of our Smite gods, right? Is we want to say, hey, okay, what is this god? If you look up the stories, you look up like
What's up,
what
Dole?
he is, he's
Thank you for the
a skeletal
5.
corpse.
SK, thank you for the
what's
5.
going on with him that
Pancake,
really
thank you for the
pushes
prime.
boundaries? Well, that's for us to do. That's for the artists to really help us creatively influence, and I think it just shows so well in the card art and in game.
I completely agree. And for those of you who saw the Closer Look blog that was released, like you got a preview with the Mastery card art, which is one of the coolest card arts.
Unbelievable.
All from
Like, we do so many
SpongeBob
things,
skin.
But you also got to see what the concept looked like. We go through
Yo,
so many.
thank
so
you for
much
the 5
iteration
gifted.
to figure out what is the best look we can bring for this, and our teams are just always.
This
on
is
top
the
of it.
world's first
it
AA
takes a village,
solo
as
guardian.
We said earlier, to both eat a giant sub sandwich and to create such a cool god. And
I think we talked about it somewhere as well. It's like for Bake Kujira, there were so many different variations of card arts that were just like,
I
we
know.
would just want just do all of these. Like that one will be the default, that one will be the master. Like just keep it all.
yeah, it's crazy that you can hit so many times in one like test sheet. So
Yep.
And there we are with the turnaround. Super awesome look. And again, it's a whale. It's a giant whale.
He's just wailing.
He's just wailing around.
The design on this is
We wanted to
crazy.
make sure that he didn't
Maybe
just
not the
look
colors,
like any
but
other typical whale. Like
it's
we
a
wanted
fucking
to see the
sick
different
ass
types,
skin.
whether it's the Baleen or not, and kind of bring our vibes into it. Also, in the stories, right? He is just a bleached bone skeleton. We didn't want to do that either. We wanted to make sure that he felt more of a deity, more of like a mythological Leviathan, and how that would look alongside the other roster of our gods.
Well, I don't know. I think y'all knocked it out of the park, and I'm excited to see this in game. I think we'll be good to go. So we're gonna.
Are we doing it?
Yeah, let's throw it back.
Lermy's gonna take us in.
Let her rip, Lerm. Let's. I'm excited. We
have a splash.
We're there.
We pushed some boundaries on Bake. Yeah, we definitely did. There are some very unique mechanics
I don't know what you're talking
here
about.
for him that I'm really excited to.
Pretty simple.
I hope you know what we're talking
The
about.
school jump.
One of the greatest jumps in the game.
Yeah, the animators had a whale of a time, right?
A whale.
Okay, that's
a
enough.
splash.
It was fine, Clumsy, but that's the last one.
That's the last
You
one.
and Harris.
Well, I don't know about that.
That one is still alive.
Okay.
Yep, that's good.
All right, are we ready?
Yeah,
Yeah,
fire
let's do
away.
it. Show it off.
Why can't I hear her keyboard clicking? I don't like that.
We're munching.
There's no audio. They haven't turned the audio back on in
There's a lot
game.
of stuff to see there, but there's a lot of intricacy that it's easier to talk about. I
Those
think to see
sounds.
right off the base. So let's start with some basic attacks. Like you have the big AOE basic attack. It looks like.
Yeah,
Oh, it
it's
is the
something we've
basic,
never
I was
done
right.
before. Just a constant AOE basic attack. It's just a pulse
What
around
the
him.
fuck?
It will hit in the full.
That is
360
weird, bro.
Degrees, so enemies behind you will still be getting hit.
That is weird,
This
dude.
does mean that there were some particularly potent interactions with some basic attack items, so I am sad to inform the community
proc
that
'em.
he will not proc basic attack item effects
GG.
with his basics. But
Basic
we
attack god
made sure that we were
that
still
can't
keeping these
proc
basics
basic
really tight.
attack
There's a lot of other
items.
little mechanics that we'll
What?
be talking about as we continue to move on. But just really trying to, as I
So
mentioned
he's not
in
an
the
A
Push
god.
Look blog, try and go down this route of what does a solo lane guardian lane bully feel like, much like Jormungandr does over there, and trying to let him be a lane dominator.
Yeah.
And these basic attacks are a big part of that.
Yeah. And his kit intrinsically has mechanics that play around with the base attacks in a way that if you allowed things like item proc effects to also influence that, it would just kind of break his own gameplay flow.
Yeah.
Yes.
We wanted to make sure to contain it in a way that felt healthy for his kit.
Yep.
Got it. Well, I think the best way to explain that is to keep moving through the kit onto the passive. Curse of the Ghost Whale.
Yeah, so there are two kind of components of this passive. Let's start with the more passive component of the passive. Because he cannot proc basic attack item effects, but we wanted his basic attacks to be the focal point for a lot of his damage. Bake Kujira will convert a percentage of all protections from items and abilities into basic attack damage. So it is 30% of any protections that you buy or that you gain through abilities, like say maybe your AO1, just a theory.
Yeah.
You are adding damage while gaining that tankiness that you need. So he's able to still buy his items that he wants to, but get that damage coming through really effectively.
Yeah.
Got it.
But that's not the only conversion that he does. This basic attack is capped at this speed that you see here, 1.25. He starts that at level 1. He will not gain any attack speed by leveling or by buying attack speed items. Instead, he will convert any attack speed that he gets from abilities or items into basic attack haste. So it's very simple conversion. 1% attack speed equals 1% haste. So if you build 50% attack speed, your basic attack movement penalty is 50% less than what it would normally be. So you still get that benefit. Shogun's Kasari, for example, being a really, really good item on him because he just gets less basic attack movement penalty. Right now, Lermy's got 100% additional attack speed from her items, and so can basic attack as she moves without slowing down whatsoever.
That's cool. Now, something's going on. We're gonna switch over and jump ahead just a little bit. So we'll get back to that and look at some of the additional recolors and the card arts for that real quick, and then we'll be right back in game, just getting that audio fixed up. So we have the maiden card art, but there's also, as with a God release, you're gonna see a recolor that comes out as well, and that has a card art as well that we'll show off in just a sec. Also super duper cool. But
all of his card arts turned out awesome because there are lots of different types of
We'll see.
gods that we have in
I think
Smite,
the
but
physical
only one whale.
shit,
Only one.
physical
Only
defense
one, like,
conversion will be
legitimate
big.
Ghost whale.
Yeah.
Which is,
Oh,
which is
yeah,
really
look
cool.
at that.
There it is.
I'm thinking the
That
hasten thing will be
color scheme is
annoying, but I'm wondering if it'll be
insane.
prioritized.
So hard.
Yep.
Not very fortunate for whoever is in that town getting rinsed.
No. But that's just sometimes how it has to go. You know, his whole personality is that he's not a particularly malevolent, you know, ghost whale, but if you've done wrong and deserve to be you know, cursed by him,
Cursed by him.
he's not gonna lose a whole lot of sleep over it. So rest easy that this guy who's falling
big ol'
had it coming.
He deserved it.
had it coming.
He messed up. His karma's getting aligned right now.
Yep.
That's
all right.
exactly it.
Thank y'all for the patience. We'll get back to the mastery card art here in a minute, but we're going back in game. We got it figured out. So we were talking about the passive and you know the transference from attack speed to movement speed haste. So.
Right. So the more attack speed that you get, the less you are punished for basic attacking.
Basic
And because he has to basic attack for a lot of his damage, in team fights we were just finding that he was just falling too far behind. He couldn't really catch up to people.
Did she only gain 15 in-hand damage from 3 defense items?
Feels like this fish out of water, but he's he's controlling the environment around him, so he's just kind of liberally moving across the field.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's
Swimming.
super awesome to see. You know, like you said, it's kind of bobbing through the fight. You're landing those attacks. You're maintaining your movement. So really cool and very whale-like.
Yeah.
And so those are the passive components of the passive. The one more active part is that you
Went
see
from
this eye
50
that's
to
open, kinda
95?
looking around on his passive meter, and these
Yes, so
swirls underneath him. That means that his passive has not been procced. If an enemy god were to hard crowd control him, then they would become cursed.
So it doesn't show on
when
the
when an enemy has a
in-hand.
curse debuff on them, they deal less damage to
No,
all
it went from
targets.
50 to 95
And
because they built
we can
demonic.
talk more about that curse.
They
as we
built
get to the
raw
AOT,
power.
because that's kind of the primary, the primary applicator of the cursing, but you get it as well for ending up getting crowd control.
Getting the hard CC. All right, so let's move on to the first ability, Rough Waters.
Yeah, so rough waters. I was saying you might get protection some places, but he increases his attack's range. So you can see there it goes from it goes to 20 radius, so much larger. And he also gains a lot of attack speed. It's 50%, but
What does that mean?
it's 50% haste.
There we go.
Hey.
So it doesn't attack any faster. But if you have 0% attack speed, you will have 50% haste from activating the AO1.
Those one gives him haste, so he doesn't need the items.
That you hit, and that includes minions. So this allows him to really allow the wave to be grouped around him,
Stacks.
and then pulse out that damage around the minions, gain a bunch of protections, which he converts into damage on his basic attacks, and allows him to trade very, very effectively. So this is a big way for him to continue to build those protections, get a little bit of haste without having to itemize into it. And then be that link.
He can be good in the
All
jungle
about zone control, and he's starting his own area.
because of the one.
Yep.
He wants to be where you are, and you don't want to be where he is.
Yeah, you want to stay away. And this plays into what you said earlier, too, about item procs messing with the flow, because this is his kit is very wrapped around get the buff, get the auto attack, get more damage from the stats. It's all this.
And then there's more links coming in.
Yeah, so
Yep.
there's more links, so let's keep moving then. So Sonic Wave, ability number 2.
Yeah, so if the basic attacks are the primary function of the kit, this is the secondary part, where he just sends out this wave of water and air that slows enemies and applies a mark. You can see that little mark above enemy Odin's head. That means that they are going to deal reduced damage to all targets for 6 seconds.
Okay.
Now,
How much?
the key part about Baki Kujira's kit is that he can use the AO2, put it on cooldown, and then anytime he basic attacks an enemy, a portion of that cooldown
Holy
is refunded,
fuck.
so that he can then reapply.
Holy
the mark.
fuck.
Have a look at that.
Portion is
actual
2
cooldown
seconds.
going.
Exactly.
It's
That
fast.
is the real cooldown. Lermy's not got cheats on at this exact moment.
It is.
It is one. Every basic attack you hit on an enemy.
Wait,
god
he has
reduces
no
the cooldown by
cooldown,
1
right?
second, and that can stack
In his
multiple
build right
times
now,
as
there's
you
no
do it.
cooldown?
Yeah,
And
What
if
the
you hit
fuck?
a minion, then that's 0.1 seconds, because if it were 1 second, he would just
That would
have it up instantly in the middle of the
But it still happens, right? It's not
does.
completely exempt from hitting minions. If you're
Oh,
doing
he's
the
hitting
thing
2
that
gods. He's hitting
Wave
2
Wave
gods.
did
It's
that
1
I
second
was
per
talking
god.
about. It's like
Okay.
You're doing this team fights. You're increasing your range in team fights. You're getting your 2s and your curses on multiple enemies.
Okay.
Yeah, in an unusual sense.
So this is still gonna be very strong, but
minion wave with somebody
that was
sitting in the
ridiculous.
middle is almost a good
It's
thing.
great.
He's very good in
you're,
that
you're
scenario.
building,
exactly.
you're getting abilities, you're building stats.
Oh, she does have
so
Shogun,
You'll see
10%
that
cooldown.
curse
That's not a
mark
lot.
becomes amplified. amplified. So if they're cursed already,
Yeah, imagine you have cap cooldown doing that shit.
Is doubled. The slow is not 6 seconds; it's only 2.
Yeah.
But the damage reduction that they deal is also doubled. So it can get up. You can reduce their damage output by 20% at max rank for 6 seconds. That is an incredibly potent curse to be putting on your enemies.
Yeah.
And as I was saying earlier with the passive,
it's 0.1 seconds off cooldown for each minion, and
that will amplify their mark to the stage 2 of that curse. So we really wanted to lean into this idea of cursing, this constant plague upon his enemies.
It's got about to be annoying as fuck.
Less effective when he's around, and it's because
how are you gonna kill this god?
Spread this damage reduction mark to all of his enemies.
Yeah. The protection that he gains from the one, it's something that requires him to be in the fight. In minion waves, where he's just got one god.
I wish we didn't see Danny. We could see the stats.
If he needs to get in there and fight multiple gods at the same time, he's putting himself in a precarious position.
Yeah.
So getting those protections from the AO1, and then that playing into the passive itself is just providing him more damage. And the 2 is there to really contribute to more damage reduction for the enemy. So he's got ways of increasing his damage and decreasing the enemy's damage at the same time while being within them.
Yeah, I think that's going to play into some really interesting positions in team fights, especially as people start to learn and get into high level play, because you're using that auto attack movement penalty reduction to weave through the enemy team. You're trying to apply damage reduction to the back line, and you're stacking as you move through people. It's going to be really interesting to watch Bake Kujira navigate a team fight, I think. So.
Yeah, he's at his core very, very simple. Lots of large area, AoE basic attacks. He's going to clear the way very easily. But getting that locked in, like I'm constantly applying my mark to the right enemy at the right time, making sure that I'm trying to get into the middle of the team fight to hit a bunch of basics so that my sonic wave cooldown can come back up. He's got a very high skill ceiling at the same time.
Yeah, I was about to say.
It's something that I'm always excited about.
Reducing damage output from anybody is good, but I think you'd rather hit the on her than the Kepri if you're in a team fight. So,
as a support, is he not just gonna clear the wave instantly?
Number 3, Twisting Dive.
Yeah, Twisting Dive's a fun one. It's a little twist and a dive, as you see. It will stun.
So Jory, thank you for the 30 months, man.
To travel with him, and what feels really great about this ability is that whether you hit them at the very beginning of the dive or at the very end, they will still get pushed to within your basic attack range. So you'll never push them away from your own potential damage. And it does allow him to set up really, really nicely for things like ganks, where if you can slow them with Sonic Wave, then walk behind them and twisting dive them towards your tower, it's a pretty potent CC tool, and it's not just single target because you see that.
So he has no regular hard CC outside of his ultimate.
One of our favorite shapes that we don't get to use that often, the lollipop targeter, where it does damage in that circle around him, and then damages enemies that he ends up pushing with him as well.
Got it. That's super cool. And again, it's a whale. I love all of the spinny animation.
You do the whale thing.
You got to do whale things.
We wanted to make sure when developing a kit that, we play up on the visuals, but you also have an interesting gameplay, right?
Yeah.
So that's always what it's going to be about. He's doing whale things while, being a nuisance in the background.
While being a big whale nuisance. So, all right, last but not least, and this one's a little crazy. Even I don't fully understand what's going on.
It's a Raggle. Thank you for the 20 months.
Kai's Lament, the ultimate. Let's dive into this.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
It's a big old area.
It's a big old area. It was very fun seeing people's guesses for what the unique debuff would be.
A lot of people you left just enough hints for people to get it right as well.
Yep. So it is a big donut around Bake, and on that outer ring of the donut, the bigger area, that is time dilation only for enemies. It will not speed up your allies, but it is a time dilation for enemies. We really, like Clumsy said, we were talking about making a whale. What would we do? Whale song really came into play.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it. He begins to sing, slows down that time on the outer edges, but it isn't like Olarun where you walk into Olarun and you just get stuck in the mud.
Yeah.
It applies stacks of time dilation.
Okay.
Gain over time and then fall off over time.
That's really important as well, because this time dilation area, it's moving with him, right?
Yep.
And he can move a lot at sometimes as well. So we want to make sure that if you're constantly going in and out of this area, it doesn't feel like you're just moving in and out of mud instantly on a dime.
Yep.
But it's something that stacks on and stacks off.
Exactly. So enemies that might not want to get time dilated, which I imagine is most of them, you don't get time dilated on the inner circle. So that seems like a good place to go, except unless you don't want to get eaten by the whale, because he gets bonus basic attack damage during that time, and the basic attack range automatically expands to cover that inner circle in its entirety. And you take increased damage from all sources, not just Bake Kujira. But that means you're taking increased damage from him. He gets increased base attack damage during that time, and it's fairly significant as you get into later stages of the game.
Yeah.
His damage isn't bursty. It isn't like, oh man, he just hit me twice and killed me. But he will whittle you down. It's chunk.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about this ultimate.
And it feels really, really gratifying for him.
I bet. Man, Smite makes you ask all kinds of questions, like, would I rather be really slow or eaten by a whale? Like, what a
tough answer.
Yeah, what a question.
No easy answer.
Something you'll have to figure out for yourself in game for sure.
On paper, this kid seems kind of dog shit.
Yokai's Lament. This was something that big shout out to Kellen and the audio team for getting.
I mean, I might be trolling.
You're experiencing
but it seems
kind
of
so strong that it's distorting all of your abilities, everything.
Kind of dog shit.
It would also affect your audio.
But that's on paper. I don't know how it'll feel in an actual team fight.
Your audio, it gets this underwater, elongated, bassy sort of change to it, and it really was like the perfect little flavor cherry on top for, those are things that we love to try and find to do that takes that a bit, getting hit by that ability to the next level.
Yeah, I can hear it now. The way our audio team is, slowed time. Put it underwater and stretch it. All the sounds.
Yep.
All the sounds.
What's up, dude? David the 6 months. Beware. Thank you for the sub.
Like our audio team. They're not like, well, job's done. They finish a job.
This is a solo god.
Like,
this god is meant for the soloing.
What more to do for job to make job better?
Yep.
They're just, you can't stop them from innovating with stuff like this. So, man, shout out to them. And shout out to y'all.
I don't know.
This is an incredible looking god. Guardian lover myself. I was immediately attracted to that. But it's another beast. We have a giant whale in Smite. We have
I don't know.
Songs. We have.
I'll say that the kid is not exciting on paper. Where like some kids are like, holy fuck, that's nuts. This is not.
Style really developed.
But neither is Olorun's kit on paper, so maybe.
We really wanted to make sure that he.
Maybe this would just be like a Guardian Olorun. I don't know.
Kind of plaguing your team. He's not zooming through the team fight or anything like that, but he's just kind of floating there, doing his thing, and if you're around him.
Yeah.
Things probably aren't going that well for you.
A little cursed.
And a huge shout out to the entire team, of course, but particularly to Nate on the programming team who did a great job on it. Diana from Effects and Basir from QA. Those teams really stepped up.
The CDR only applies to the two. It doesn't apply to anything else, right? So.
They did an unbelievable job.
Well, I mean, I always love to hear shout outs for the team because there are so many people. We can sit here all day with a list. So, cool. So let's.
I'm sure as a solo laner he's gonna be good,
let's,
but
dive back into the card arts for some of the other.
I'm thinking more like
skins
fun.
With this, including the Ascended skin for Bake Kujira.
Because against a warrior, he'll be solid in lane.
We love the purples, right?
So cool.
But does he have no CC immunity? Because like, if he has no CC immunity, I'll be able to kill his ass.
You didn't sneak any of the effects there.
No, I didn't put that feedback in there, but I wasn't saying take that out. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly.
I don't know though. It kind of looks like the lightning bolt isn't really doing much. So.
Oh, that's a tickle.
No, yeah, he does. Zeus is not very good.
I was thinking, imagine you like, I don't know, a Wheelix jumps on you, and you ult, and then Wheelix flips, knocks you up,
so, again, this
or
is
Blinks knocks you up, ults you, flips you, and your whole ult is wasted. I don't know.
You may have seen it on the Closer Look blog, but we have the Mastery skin card art, which is just.
I don't think Jungle Mulan is good. I think it'll still get shit on by everybody.
The sky at the bottom of the card art.
They didn't really buff Mulan. They just made the fucking spike earlier.
And, just heading towards the sun, but flipping this perspective, like
it's gorgeous.
Unbelievable. I don't
know. Maybe we'll play Mercy and play it. He's just gonna be the most annoying god in the world.
Yeah.
Did that guy deserve it? The dude on the boat, he did?
I think the 2 push combo is going to be stronger in game than it is on paper, though.
He kicked the kitten before he got on his fishing.
I'm not
the process of trying to kill fish.
This is probably, you get into a game, it'll probably be a very, very annoying god.
Saying exactly what he did. Like, it means that I can't, but Bake was in the right here.
All right.
You think his basics can crit? He's a guardian.
All right.
Can't build crit.
We made it to the end of year 10. This is just, it blows my mind.
That's crazy.
I know, isn't it?
I know. For like 5 days, I've just been thinking like, wow, like year 10, we, so many crazy changes.
Oh, if the whale is CC'd, he's tankier, but this mic.
Gods and Worlds is right around the corner. So I can't express how excited I am, how fun it's been to be with all of y'all here for this entire year. I'm looking forward to year 11 and what comes next. And I'm looking forward to seeing as many of you as I possibly can at Worlds in January. It's going to be mind-blowing. So make sure to stick around. We're going to have dev insight right after this. So, you know, bring your questions, start thinking about stuff you want to know about Bake or any of the changes. Bring those questions in and make sure to talk to these wonderful designers here. They're going to help you figure everything out that you might not have caught on to. Make sure to check out the patch notes. They've been live this whole time, and they have all the details and numbers and everything if you want to start doing the math, figure out how to get that, you know, how to prove them wrong, get that Bake Kujira build online. And also, make sure to watch out for PTS. Get in there and send us all of that feedback so that we can start prepping. Because, you know, we're
So that's done, but hold on. So here's the patch notes. Or, yeah, here's the physical patch notes. Wait. Enemies that apply hard crowd control to Bake Kujira are cursed. If an enemy is already cursed, the duration is refreshed. The curse duration increases in strength. Bake Kujira converts protections from items, abilities, and a basic attack damage converts. We know that. So if you do CC him, the curse goes on you. When activated, you gain basic attack range, a reduced movement penalty when basic attacking. You also gain stack of protections for each enemy hit. Protections per stack is 6 at max rank. Max stack is 10. So we get 60 prots potentially in late game. Holy shit. There's no way this goes over cap though, right? So I wonder if that means that opens him up to building an item that he wouldn't necessarily be able to build. Since on a wave of cursed energy, enemies hit are slow, damaged, and cursed. Enemies that are cursed deal reduced damage for 6 seconds. If a cursed enemy is hit, so what's the reduced? Okay, so if you CC him, you get the curse on you, which makes you do 10% less damage. And for each stack, oh, it amplifies up to 20% if you get a second stack on it. Shit. Sheesh. And it is 1 second per god and 0.1 second per minion for cooldown. The slow is only 15% though, but I guess that's gonna stack too. They said, right? Like that's gotta be amplified. His damage, splash damage is 175. So if you're up close and you hit this and you push, holy fuck. So 415 and 50% scaling. So it's got solid base damage. 1.5. So it is a stun at the end of it. I didn't know that was a stun. So that's sick. This ability is actually nuts. Never mind. Time dilation. You begin to sing for 5, so like it's 5 seconds. But get the basic attack damage at close range. Enemies between 20 and 50 units get a stack of time dilation every 0.25 seconds. Max stacks are only 4 though. So if you can hit them basically once, you'll get 40% slowed. Like 1 second worth, sorry. 1 second worth. 40% slowed. The bonus attack damage is 60%. Nearby enemy damage increase 15%. So it's just a slow? There's no other hit? I thought there was going to be more debuffs, to be honest. I'm surprised. I don't know. We'll see how it plays out, but that ult seems underwhelming. The 3 seems better than I thought it was. This is nuts, though. Like a spam of 260? If you're doing like capable to spam this, like that's like we're talking like 700 damage in like 3 seconds, 4 seconds if done right, if done perfectly. Okay, I'm down. I like it.